Heyo and good day everybody. Today the brand new Wetlands animal pack officially launches, and in this video I'll be doing a quick overview of the pack, summarizing my thoughts, and talking about the pack as a whole. So without further ado, let's begin. Kicking things off with the face of the pack and the animal that has clearly garnered the most attention from everyone, the Capybara. Now, right off the bat, I want to say that yes, the specialness that this animal carries outside of the game is brought to life here. Frontier really went all out on this animal. For example, here's a look at the Capybara using their new hot water tap enrichment item. This combined with the new hot springs bathing is a perfect example of how Frontier played right into the memes of this animal, showing that they're clearly self-aware of how much people love capybaras. Oh, and speaking of enrichment items, here's a look at all the Capybara's enrichment items, ranging from new ones like this submarine to old ones like the melon feeder. It really goes to show how far Frontier will go to bring an animal to life in this game, and the Capybara is a perfect example of this, from their amazing animations to their gorgeous models to how absolutely adorable the babies are, and even to the memes. This is a fantastic addition to Planet Zoo that the fans will adore. Oh, and to top it all off, as if this animal didn't already have so much care and attention added to it, the capybaras can also deep dive. My favorite animal of the pack, the one I was anticipating the most, the one that is easily the biggest competition for the capybara, and what is finally another Australian addition to Planet Zoo, we have the platypus. Now before I gush all over how much I just love this animal, let's first take a look at some of the amazing highlights of the platypus. For one, we have this beautiful new deep diving animation complete with twirls, spins, and a feeling that feels free. It just looks so fantastic to see them be so fluid underwater. After that, we have the platypus's enrichment items, including the new small burrows, which of course the platypus will use just like our badgers, meerkats, aardvarks, and prairie dogs. And sometimes in the burrows you will even see them give birth to the cutest platypus puggles, which are low-key one of my favorite things in the game now. As an avid platypus fanatic, I gotta say that Frontier knocked this one out of the park. No surprise, but their models, walking animations, swimming animations, babies, burrows, and the fact that they're as small as they should be, lead me to feel like this might just be my new favorite animal in Planet Zoo. After those first two eye-catching animals, we have something that is arguably far less exciting, yet still very nice to have, the wild water buffalo. Here's a look at the buffalo's enrichment items, and here's the buffalo actually using them. And they of course have some adorable calves as well. At the end of the day, there is only so much I can say about this animal. It is just another bovine added to the game that doesn't try to explore anything new, but simply just adds some more variety, and that is completely fine. This is a perfect kind of filler animal for a pack like this because its inclusion makes sense, it's an addition people will appreciate, it has a fantastic model and some adorable babies, and that's really all you're going to find with the new wild water buffalo, and that's okay because it's really all you're going to need. The new exhibit animal this time around is definitely an out-of-the-nowhere inclusion, but I'll just go ahead and say it, the Danube Crested Newt is awesome. Like, as far as exhibit standards go for this game, this is another fantastic addition. It offers the player a new swampy wetlands tank with the new toggle options and even new flexicolor water options thanks to update 1.9. The Newt itself, though, is a visually stunning, interesting looking animal for the game. Watching it swim around its tank, or lay at the bottom, or even chill at the top makes me really dig this new Newt. I think, despite how obscure it is, it actually fits in Planet Zoo wonderfully, and that the players will love to check it out. Definitely another form of competition for the capybaras. As the player's most wanted, most adorable inclusion, we have the Asian small-clawed otter, or ASCO as some people like to call it. Before I say anything else about the ASCO, here's a look at its enrichment items, and here's a look at the otters underwater, which is of course the same as the giant otter, but no less amazing. And here's a look at the adorable otter kits. The ASCO is of course the giant otter in all the ways you thought it would be, but where it's the same, it's also different, offering the players a more traditional form of cute small river otter, the typical kind of otter that people have been wanting since the beginning. Now that's not to say that the giant otter isn't any more or less amazing, I just don't think it gave the players exactly what they wanted back before otters were even in Planet Zoo. Even after the giant otter, I believe people were still left wanting a cuter, smaller otter. But with all that being said, I think both of them are equally important and amazing as we hoped for, and I'm really happy to have both of them in Planet Zoo, as should all of you. Third to last animal, and another total surprise pick on this list, the Nile Lechwe. I really don't believe that prior to this pack's announcement, there was a single person out there actually expecting Frontier to officially implement Nile Lechwe into the game. But I digress. Before I say anything else, let's take a look at some highlights. Here's a look at the Nile Lechwe's enrichment items, and a Lechwe using its enrichment item. And here's a look at the baby Lechwe's. So yes, this animal is an obscure, unlikely choice that has just suddenly become a part of the game like it was always expected to happen, which it wasn't, but does that make it any less of a good pick? Absolutely not. This is still a fantastic animal that offers a beautiful new antelope for the game, and an amphibious one at that. To me, this is the fallow deer all over again, where I may not have anticipated its inclusion, but I am no less amazed by its beauty. It offers a gorgeous furry neck and some beautiful spiral horns, and to me, that's a good addition in my book. Second to last, and still one of the biggest animals of the pack, we have the much anticipated red-crowned crane, another one of my new favorites. I think the best way to start is to show you all the beautiful mating dance animation. They really did a good job of recreating it from real life. This to me helps make the animal feel individual and unique. After that, we have the crane's enrichment items, and of course, the very adorable crane chicks, or crane colts as they're sometimes called. Alright, so prior to getting the pack, based on the first screenshot, I saw a wide variety of reactions, mostly positive with a lot of critiquing as well. But the truth is, the red-crowned crane does take the flamingo rig, being most obvious with its walking, enrichment items, and how the wings don't fully disappear into the body as they would in real life. With all that being said though, it is fantastic. There is just enough here to make it feel like its own separate animal, to the point where I forget the fact that it's even using the flamingo rig. The use of the mating dance, social interactions, and even the sounds make it go a long way from being just a copy and paste. To me, this feels satisfying, so much so that I can happily say that Planet Zoo finally has a crane. Last, and arguably not least, the spectacled Caiman. Definitely the most controversial pick on the list, but before I say anything else, let's start out with the Caiman's enrichment items. And here's a look at one of the very adorable baby Caimans using one of its enrichment items. And you can't forget that just like the other crocodilians, these guys can go deep diving. I believe that the reason why this is the most controversial pick is less that it's another kind of crocodilian, as a crocodilian actually makes perfect sense to be in a pack like this, but simply because it's another Caiman. Of all the crocodilians we could have gotten, I believe that what people wanted the most was a traditional form of crocodile from Africa, since we really don't have anything like that. Regardless, this new animal clearly has some fans, and I'm really happy to see that. I think it's a solid addition, even if not my first pick. It brings another gorgeous reptile model to the game, and that's really all you'd be wanting and receiving from it. So if that's what you want, well then you're going to be really happy with this choice. Oh, and side note, just know that this probably isn't the end of us receiving new crocodilians. With the game continuing to be updated, we're probably going to see more in the future. Just keep that in mind. Next up, we can't forget that with every new pack, whether that be a scenery pack or an animal pack, we do get at least some new pieces. And this time around we have a new set of wetland animal signs. We have 4 capybara signs, as well as a statue. We have 2 caiman, 2 newt, and 2 platypus signs. We have 1 buffalo, 1 crane, 1 lechwe, and 1 otter signs. And to top it all off, Frontier oddly enough gave us some new snail and butterfly signs. Not that it's not nice to have, or that it's not thematically appropriate, it's just that we didn't get any new butterflies or snails. Other than the animal signs, we also get 2 new kinds of wetland trees added to the base game. Funny enough, these trees are North American trees, and I almost feel like they are there as a fill-in for the lack of North American wetland animals, but regardless, in the base game, players will now have the bald cypress trees, as well as the bald cypress knees, and the water tupelo trees. And to top all this scenery off, we have a new time scenario set in the Brazilian Pantanal. If you're a fan of these new scenario modes, then you've got new content to enjoy. In conclusion, the new Planet Zoo Wetlands Animal Pack offers the players a beautifully diverse set of semi-aquatic, wetland-dwelling animals that will add a lot of life to your zoos and projects. Life that is both well-known and obscure. And so the question is it actually worth getting? Well, the answer is simply yes. Not a surprise at all, this is another really solid addition to the collection, and a fantastic kickoff to 2022 for Planet Zoo. Yet, with that being said, it is worth keeping in mind that just like every other pack, it's not perfect. I personally have a couple small gripes with some of the animals, such as the crane's wings need to be able to blend in with their body more, and the otters need to stand up on their hind legs more often, not just for an enrichment item. I also personally would have picked a different species of crocodilian. I also think that the signs, as good as they are, have an odd assortment of mostly capybara signs, with an interesting addition of butterflies and snails, and a lack of multiple signs for other animals, such as the otters, cranes, and buffalo. I also didn't find the new scenario mode set in Brazil all that interesting either. Compared to the other scenarios they've done in the past, this one is far less grabby and interesting in my opinion. And for me, the worst part is the lack of a new soundtrack. As someone who regularly listens to Planet Zoo music, especially the DLC soundtracks, I get very excited for these songs every time there's a new pack. But surprisingly enough, or at least on this pre-release version that I'm making this video on, there doesn't seem to be any new soundtrack, which I find super disappointing, but do keep in mind that this is the pre-release version and the full release might have that soundtrack. Let's hope. All of that might sound like a lot, but the truth is, it's not. If you can get past the nitpicks like that, you will really enjoy this pack. It offers some really amazing new animals and some nice new pieces. I'm really happy to say that because this pack should be a sign of what's to come in the future of Planet Zoo, and if the Wetlands Animal Pack is anything to go off of, well then I think we have a pretty good future ahead of us. Alright guys, that was my quote-unquote quick overview of the new pack. I tried to make it as quick as I could, but the truth is I had a lot to say, and I didn't even say all of it, but I hope it gets the point across regardless. That point being that I definitely recommend getting it. I also do have more content to come for this pack, including a very special project I've been working on this past week and a half, and that I should have a video out on soon. But other than that guys, thank you all so much for watching this video. Let me know if you plan on getting the pack yourself, and stay tuned for more from me. But until then, thank you all again, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.